A Destination X themed Impact. I wasn't too fond about Joker's Wild, and I was very worried about Destination X. I just didn't feel that this show was that great, for the simple fact that having a pay-per-view theme in a regular Impact really doesn't work well for me personally. You guys tell me below. So I'm just going to go through the matches, and then I'll tell you about the stuff, the most important stuff. The opening of the show with Rude versus Aries, a BFG series match. We know both these guys can do good matches. There is no problem with that. It's just that this is a standard match between them. Nothing extraordinary. We've seen all their work together, but doesn't mean it wasn't a good match. It's just average for them. Now Aries wins, but what do we get from Robert Roode? We get a Robert Roode blowing a gasket and wanting to tear the place apart. Now what does this mean for us? What does this mean for Roode? Well, this means that there's a good possibility that Roode will not get points during this series at all, and that Roode will be torn down and rebuilt possibly as a face. Unless they're going to make him one hell of a nasty heel, somehow being worse than he is. But I don't think so. I think they may build him back as a face. The way they're structuring this, he may get points, but I have a feeling that he may be slated to become a face again by 2014. Now, I'd rather see Roode as a heel than a face. He makes a better heel than he makes a better face. But we'll see what they're going to do. I could be wrong 100% and just giving more spectacle for him as he rebuilds. First of the 3 X Division matches for the Destination X not pay-per-view, this Impact. You see, it just doesn't feel right hearing Destination X themed Impact. Come on. Well, Sanjay Dutt. Let me see. I got to make sure I get these names. There's a lot of names. Sanjay Dutt with Homicide and Petey Williams. Now, I never really did see Homicide. Like I've said before in one of my previous videos a while ago, that I have the Genesis 2005 or 2006, and that's the only way I've ever seen Homicide. I never did see his work. So, while I was watching it, he didn't look bad. He didn't. But the ones that are the more better performers there was Petey Williams and was Sanjay Dutt. And Dutt was the one who won. I personally wanted to see Petey Williams. I believe he's being underutilized. I'm sure that he has a good character. He has some ability to talk. But I just don't think that he should be jobbing. But that's just me. The second match, which was with, Manic with a K. Long Live the King and Chavo Guerrero, who met a wonderful partner in LAX. Homicide with a Superman. I just have this feeling that when they were showing those 3 together, there's going to be some type of conflict. I'm not sure though. I'm still getting a little confused about how they're structuring Superman and Chavo. Are they heels? Are they faces? We just saw last week that Chavo did, or a week before, some heelish tendencies to help Superman win. So are they heels? The way they were acting face. Either you make one of these guys heel, or you just let them go off TV and just periodically bring them as faces. I'd rather see Chavo as a heel because he is a better heel. He is. As a mid-card heel, he's better than a mid-card face. I'm sorry. The winner of that match was Manic. I'd rather see the King win. But this is kind of problematic of what's going on in the X Division. Now, I'm going to botch the third match. And the third person there. Now, I think Beretta, the guy who used to be in WWE, I can't remember his first name, but his last name was Beretta, I believe. Now, it's Rubik. It is Rockstar Spud. Sorry, the thing's coming down. And it's Macaradio. I can't even pronounce his name, dudes. I'm sorry. I am bad with names sometimes. No, I'm bad with names a lot of times. But I think that guy is Beretta. And he's the one who won. I don't know what to make of that third match. It's basically 3 unknowns thrown into a match that's going to be thrown into a match next week that should be thrown on a pay-per-view. It should be on its own pay-per-view, having its own spotlight. But the way this felt, since they're still doing these stupid triple threats, I said this months and months ago, if anyone remembers, that if you overutilize something, it will become irrelevant. Now, I do remember that Fool Killer 99 said it already, that I'm tired of this triple threat, get rid of it. I don't feel right about it, because simply this triple threat does not spotlight anybody. This is for ROH marks. But the problem here is that what brought people into your product, TNA, wasn't acting like ROH. It was the X Division and doing things that anyone else ever did. Throwing in storylines with it. Throwing in great storytelling with really interesting characters. And we don't got that here. We're getting triple threats with a lot of high spots. And this is not really exposing anybody. When it was time for Kenny King to face a Chris Sabin, you had Petey Williams. You didn't get shit from Petey Williams. This is what I said before. You can't highlight anyone. And at one point, they had to get rid of Petey Williams, so Chris Sabin and Kenny King had to work together. What is the point of this now? Get rid of it, like they got rid of the X-Cam. Get rid of this concept. Let it go back to the ordinary format of one-on-one. Now, I'm going to talk about, I'm getting this over with now, Aces and Eights and the new Main Event Mafia. I'm sorry. It's still a question mark how long Rampage Jackson's going to be there and how they're going to structure him. If he's going to stay there for quite a while, he's going to have to learn on-the-job training to be a wrestler, because he's not signed on to OVW. He's not. Now, I have my thoughts on 2 people after this review. I'm going to make sure I write it, because it is like a 95 degrees in my apartment, so I've been forgetting a lot of stuff. So, I apologize. This shirt is an example. I don't wear this type of shirt. It's too hot in my apartment. But anyway, the Main Event Mafia had an alright segment. All of them managed to talk except for Rampage Jackson. He cannot talk. He is very choppy, and I think he's unsure of himself yet. He has not gone to OVW to start getting the training, so it's good they're not letting him talk. But when we saw the Titantron with Aces and Eights, and I'll explain something about what was said about Bully and Mr. Anderson later, they said, come and get us. My question is this. They went to the back to get Aces and Eights. They got locked into a room, and I believe it was West who took the hit. Why are they kidnapping Mr. Cyborg, Kurt Angle? My guess is this. 2 things. 1, the TNA writers are being incredibly sloppy because they don't have an idea what they want to do. 2, they're trying to set something up where Kurt Angle will have no choice but to turn on the new Main Event Mafia. My guess is the latter. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that the writers aren't so damn sloppy that seeing Angle come back on his own after a while, it's not sloppy writing, because that's just going to make it worse than it is. This is my thought. If they're doing an Angle, because you hear Bully Ray say to whoever was driving, make sure he gets a... Sorry. It's just... I'm just worried about this. Hearing Bully say, give him an offer he can't refuse, and then we see him come back on his own, holding his head. Like I said, this still feels like it's bad writing. But if this is what I think it is, seeing that they may have Angle betray the Main Event Mafia, but not really go parts of Aces and Eight, it doesn't mean it's going to be good. It isn't. But this is what we have. We have 2 factions that, one, we can't stand at all. It's all crap. The second one has some people in it that you are mostly interested in, but not fully invested in. But we know that eventually it's going to become overwhelming with the 2 older veterans that are there. It's going to happen. So this could be a way to bring down the Main Event Mafia along with the Aces and Eights. Aces and Eights are going away. We know this. But you're going to have to get rid of the new main event Mafia eventually too. So this could be leaving the seeds for it, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Now, I'm going to get rid of the Bully Ray part and Anderson right now. Bully Ray and Anderson. The opening of the show with Bully Ray being in the ring talking about saving and then calling out his wife. This has been a clusterfuck from the very beginning when they weren't allowing Brooke to talk. Because there has been no storyline behind this. Brooke has lived her actual life on television because she's now engaged to an actual guy she wants to marry. They did not introduce this properly. Bully Ray was not introducing Brooke properly. They refused to show Brooke. They refused to let her talk. No matter if she can talk or not, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter. If you actually want to make a storyline that makes some sense, sometimes you need to put crap in the storyline to make it have some sense. Because when you actually do some good storylines afterward, it'll have an arc in it. When you don't leave an arc inside a storyline, it becomes shit. And this is what I see with this Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan bit. They're trying to crop this and cultivate something they're not willing to show months before. And seeing her with the actual ring that is with the actual man she's engaged to, and Bully Ray showing his fake ring, which actually he's already married to somebody else, it still does not make any sense. This makes no sense. Yeah, Bully Ray lost. I'll be talking in a minute about that. But it's still going to be going on with this. So the only thing I can get from Bully Ray and Brooke Hogan is that the man she's engaged to will be introduced into TNA eventually. That's what I said before. I'm saying it again. Eventually the guy who she's married to, I don't remember his name, I'm sorry. I know I think he's either retired from football or he's still active. Eventually he's going to be shown. It's got to happen. Or why are they still doing this? So I'm going to talk about Anderson talking basically about Doc. They explained Doc and saying he couldn't stand it and he just handed in his cut because of the vote. Okay, that makes the storyline work. I still feel that now that what has happened with Bully Ray, we're going to have a faction war between Bully Ray and Mr. Anderson. I really believe that. Bully Ray is going to have a problem with Anderson, and there may be a faction war that's going to make it worse for Aces and Eights and finally begin to break them apart. That's what I'm hoping for, and I hope they do it soon, but this is a guess. Now, before the final segment of the night, we got the Nikki Jayne segment. Oh my goodness, I am in love with this woman. I loved Nikki Jayne before when she was a face. She wasn't bad. She was beautiful. She was cute. She was sweet. Now we see a Nikki Jayne singing with a gorgeous voice with some nice tight clothes on, some gorgeous lipstick, and a scene that I will be painting for you in a minute. But she has become a wet dream for many men who has wanted a real bad girl in the knockouts. She has. The way she was talking while explaining herself about her music and someone's got to pay when she was singing was very good. When Gail came out to say, I'm coming to get that title, and I brought the house down in the ladder match, which she did a great job. But like I said, it still didn't feel right for the simple fact that this was a commercial written show, just like this one. But what made this segment great is that the women hyped up for their match for next week. And you see a Gail Kim flip off those lovely heels and that tight dress, wearing some black panties, attacking, and Nikki Jayne, who kept her shoes on, who we saw have some pink panties on her, and eventually, as a Gail Kim began to pummel her, got her legs like this up in the air. That is a dream that many men want from her every day since she's been a heel. I'm sorry. And men, you could tell me, ladies, if you feel the same, and if you are feeling insulted, I'm very sorry. This is the type of thing that many men from 18 to 35 want to see. A very heelish woman who is so sexy, who can actually beat someone else, and in this case gets beat, but get her legs swung all the way up into the air. That is highly arousing. This is very good. I was actually worried about Gail Kim and Nikki Jayne. I know that this should have been for Terrence Terrell, but Terrence Terrell is not ready yet. So this was okay, and I am looking forward to seeing their match. Now finally, the Zane and Bully Ray match. If I'm forgetting anything, please forgive me, it's been very hot. Now before the match, Aries came up to Zane and said, look, owe your position, your spot to me, not because you won the title from me, not because I did option C, but because I pushed you to your limits to know how far you can truly go. I know I can be Bully Ray. Now it's your turn. I felt that was very good from Aries. He's not being a heel. He's not being a face. He's just being honest. And I like that. And when it came to this match, I know a lot of people are not fond of Bully Ray right now, what he's doing with aces and eights, but you cannot deny how good Bully Ray is stirring up the crowd. He stirred that crowd up in many points of that match to make them love Zane. I mean, the people loved Zane as it was, but they made him love, he made them love him and made them despise him. He went after those knees. He took off the padding, he took off almost the sneakers, the boots, and in the end, Zane won by knocking him in the head with a bolting hammer. I would have liked a clean victory, but it's alright. Now what does this mean? Zane's the world champion. I don't know where they're going to go with Zane. Zane's a smaller guy like Aries. But it doesn't mean he couldn't pull off doing a good run with that title. This is still a great possibility when Bound for Glory comes in. We will have something interesting because it's not going to be Bully Ray at Bound for Glory. It's going to be Zane at Bound for Glory. And with Zane, you could have an Aries Zane match. You could have a Robert Roode Zane match because Beer Money versus Motor City Machine Guns has never been forgotten, baby. I had the chance to see the Motor City Machine Guns versus Beer Money before it was all over, and I thought it was fucking awesome the way they were working. Both those teams were good, particularly that they were almost the only teams that were left. But still, that could be done. We could have a Magnus versus a Chris Sabin. Anything is possible. And I find this refreshing. What do I give as a rating? I still feel that this wasn't good because of the commercial interruptions. And I don't understand what's going to be going on with Brooke and Bully Ray. This doesn't make any sense unless they're going to bring in Brooke's actual fiance. I'm going to give this... knowing that they offered something to a Kurt Angle, we don't know if this is just bad writing or this is something they're going to try and mess up the main event Mafia that's going to coincide with Aces and Eights. I'm going to give this a B minus. I know I've been doing that a lot, giving a lot of B minuses, but I can't give a solid B. I can't. It's just the show felt wrong being on regular television. It did. The Zane match with Bully Ray should have been a pay-per-view match all by itself. It was that good. Not just because of the high-flying movements of Zane, but because Bully Ray made the crowd love Zane. So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. And subscribe and comment to my channel. I wanted to say there are two people I'm going to be talking about in my mixed bag of wrestling. I will be doing one in the next couple of days. It's going to be about Tara and Matt Morgan. Someone had asked, hey, why don't you do it because they're both gone. I can't remember that person, but I will mention them in my mixed bag of wrestling. So you guys have a good day and have a good night.